Have you ever been told not to talk to strangers? In the world of 24-hour media, this is something that we're almost always worried about because those strangers are out there. What you saw in the news for someone getting abducted or a kidnapping case or whatever it may be. Those situations change how an adult sees the world. And therefore, we protect our kids from that same world, thinking the world is full of boogeymen that are going to take you and hurt you. Now, there is a lot of truth to that. There are people out there that do bad things. But how do you find the balance between teaching a child that people are inherently good, but then also teaching people that you also have to have an awareness that there are people that are bad? I think this is one of the most interesting dichotomies trying to teach a child to grow up, because talking to strangers as an adult is one of the most useful techniques and skills that I could use on a daily basis, but it was one that I never was taught. No one came up to me and said, today is the day you get to talk to strangers finally. You've earned your maturity level that you no longer have to worry about the boogeyman. But no one really does that. We kind of keep this firewall around our kids, and we don't really take them to different situations where they're going to be exposed to talking to strangers. I often joke that if the Marine Corps would have taken me to a sales conference, took me into this room, and told me to sell something to 100 people in here, it doesn't matter whether they say yes or no, but just keep repeating it. But learning to talk to strangers, that single lesson would have exponentially moved my life further and farther than anything that I had done previously. But I didn't start doing that until about 2 or 3 years ago. So how do we teach kids that it's okay to talk to strangers, but at the same time, teach kids that there are strangers that are bad? What do you do if you're invited into a car and your kids don't know what to do? How do you teach them that? But then also teach them that there are people that you can go ask for help. I mean, within the school system, we teach kids that teachers are good, that teachers, you can always go to a teacher to ask for help. We teach people and kids that police officers are good, that if you're in trouble, you can go to a police officer or a fireman. These people are there to protect you. But again, that almost heightens the sensitivity that someone has against people. But yet, inherently, people are good. Genuinely, the people that you meet on a daily basis are no different than you, just trying to do what's right and trying to figure out how to do life every single day. And they're almost always willing to help you do whatever it may be. You just have to have the courage to ask. But most people don't have the courage to ask. So the question again, how do you teach your kids that there's situations where strangers are good, but strangers are also bad? I think there's a couple different folds of thinking that I could bring into this. One is within the military, we're programmed into what's called operational security, or OPSEC, which is always being aware of your surroundings, always being aware of what's coming that you may not be noticing. Think of like a CIA movie where someone's sitting out in a bar or a pub in France or in Europe somewhere, and they're just observing all these different people, and there's a couple conversations where they're noticing different people, they're hearing people behind them. Like, that's an extreme example. But teaching your kids to always be self-aware of what's going on around them, I think that is a really good skill to help kids understand that, yes, there are good people. Yes, there are bad people. And you always want to be aware of your surroundings just from a basic point of view of your own safety. This even applies if you're teaching your kid to drive. I mean, situational awareness is the key to being able to drive and survive each time you go out into the world and drive somewhere. Another component is with my kids that are younger, that I often, when we're going on a bike ride, I'll always wave. Or if we're going on a walk, or if we're even driving, I'll always wave at people on the sidewalks. And I'll always smile looking back at them. And for me, that teaches them that, yes, we can be nice. We can always show kindness to strangers. And my youngest daughter, when we were going on bike rides together, she would always say, Daddy, why do you always wave to everybody? Because that's the nice thing to do. And people are genuinely nice. And so I always want to model that. And now she will always say that. And so she knows and has the fear of strangers like any other 4 or 5 year old. But at the same time, she also knows she can say hello to people. So when we're on a bike ride, she'll often say hello and she'll often wave with me. So it's a fine balance, but teaching our kids to understand that we can be genuinely kind outward, but then we can also have a nice boundary to understand that there is an inherent danger in the world. But I think this is one where you have to find your own balance, find it where it aligns with your own values, make sure your kids understand it. And then I think at the end of the day, the cherry that they need to understand is that the hello to someone could be that one thing that saves their day. It could be the one thing that changes your life. And to me, the power of hello is one of the most powerful tools that a human being has access to. But our kids don't really know the power of it because most adults don't say hello to each other. They'll just walk by each other and not acknowledge each other. So I always try to teach my kids to acknowledge, respect each other, and show kindness, and always smile back. Because when you give the gift of a smile, when you notice them, when you see someone, you never know what it took for them to put their pants on that day. And I'm always looking forward to being able to give someone that gift of, I saw you, I noticed you, I hope you have a good day. And I'll be back again with you tomorrow.